Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual science classroom. This is your teacher Daryl Del Mundo, and welcome to our quarter 4, week number 4. And let us start with a prayer. Thank you so much. And for our secretary, do not forget to check the attendance, get the number of boys and get the number of girls, add them up, and then send it to our group chat. Okay? Don't you forget that. And for this week number 4, for our quarter 4, we will have another exciting topic. And this topic is all about tilt of the Earth, length of the daytime, amount of energy, and position of the Earth in its orbit. So we will know all about these things later on. Basically, uh, about daytime, about nighttime, and how many energy do we get, okay? And why in this month we have like maybe a sunny weather, or during this time we have a different weather. Why in December we have colder weather up to February, and why during summer days or summer months, including the month of March, April, May, and so on. Okay? So lahat ng yun ay pag-aaralan natin dito. So the supplementary learning material will help us to learn lesson number 1, amount of daylight. And for lesson number 2, we are going to tackle about direct and indirect rays or sunlight. But first, let us just have a look back on what we have tackled from the last discussion from week number 3. So direction, label the different layers of the atmosphere from outer to inner. Okay, so these are the different layers of the atmosphere, and I want you to answer each. Okay, let's start from number 5. Do you know what is this part? Okay, this is the exosphere. How about the fourth one? You can unmute. Okay, very good. That's thermosphere. How about the third? Okay, that is mesosphere. Then second, nearest to the Earth is, okay, that's stratosphere. And then the layer that is nearest, okay, what is that? Very good, that is the troposphere. So this is the correct layers of the Earth in order. Do not forget that we have exosphere, thermosphere, mesosphere, stratosphere, and troposphere from outer to inner layer. Okay? So another thing to do, all you have to answer is this table. We have question number 1 up to question number 6, if I'm not mistaken. So direction, study the table below and answer the following questions. So this is the table that you need to study. We have here sunrise and sunset in Manila on selected days of 2011. First column, we have the day. Second column, we have the sunrise. Then the third column, we have the sunset. And the fourth column, we have the length of daytime. So you need to study the day, the sunrise, the sunset, and then length of the day, and try to compare, okay, each row. So for question number 1, compare the times of sunrise from January 2011 to December 2011. What do you notice? So we have January 2011, this one, and then up to December 2011. Okay, I will give you a minute or two for it, because we will answer this part. Okay, look at January 2011 up to December 2011. Okay, what have you noticed? Okay, great observation. So in this part, from March to September, it has 12 hours or more than 12 hours, right? That is the length of daytime. On the other hand, January, February, October to December, it has lesser, okay, daytime. During March to September, it has longer daytime, while January, February, October to December has shorter daytime. So, as you can see, the answer for question number 1 is October to February has shorter daytime than from March to September, which has longer daytime. Kaya class, di ba napapansin nyo, nung may pasok pa tayo sa school, meron tayong daylight saving time. Kasi during October to February, mas mabilis nang magdilim. Okay? But during summer days, like starting from March, okay, that can be extended to September, sobrang araw pa. Kahit pagdating ng 6 p.m., medyo maliwanag pa, right? So, this is the reason. And that is what are we going to discuss about this topic. And also, do not forget to answer question number 2 up to question number 6 in your module. Okay, so let's start with lesson number 1, amount of daylight. And as a brief introduction, the question is, what determines the amount of daylight? Basically, as you can see here in our illustration, our amount of daylight hours depends on our latitude and how Earth orbits the Sun. So we believe, and we also tackled last time, that we are located in different latitudes. And when you are located in different latitudes, we have different climate. Okay? And Earth's axis of rotation is tilted at 23.5 degrees. Kaya medyo nakalihis yung Earth natin. Am I clear? It is not totally in a right angle. It is tilted 23.5 degrees, which is from its orbital plane and always points in the same direction, which is towards the North Star. Okay, as a result, the orientation of Earth's axis to the Sun is always changing throughout the year as we revolve around the Sun. So if we revolve around the Sun, that is automatically 1 year. So as a result, the orientation of Earth's axis to the Sun is always changing throughout the year as we revolve around the Sun. Okay, remember that in one revolution of the Earth around the Sun, that's considered as 1 year. That's why we have different seasons, we have different climate in every month. So sometimes the axis points towards the Sun and other times away from the Sun. So as you can see in our illustration, there are different parts of the Earth that is directly facing towards the Sun, and some parts of the Earth is away from the Sun. Okay, so in the northern region or in the southern region, basically we have different climate and temperature in those areas. Okay, and since we are near the equator, we get a lot of sunlight. Okay, since we are the hot spot. So another thing is that as this orientation changes throughout the year, so does the distribution of sunlight on Earth's surface at any given latitude. That's why it's an equal distribution of sunlight. So this tilting leads to the variation of solar energy that changes with latitude. So like what we have in different latitudes, when you are located near the Antarctic and Arctic Circle, basically you have colder weather. But when you are located in the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, basically that your temperature or climate is tropical, meaning to say you have sunny days and you have rainy days all the time throughout the year. But when you are in between of those Tropic of Capricorn or Arctic Circle or Antarctic Circle, in between of those latitudes, class, you will experience different climate. Okay, sila yung may mga summer, spring, winter, and fall. Okay? And next, this causes a seasonal variation. That's why seasonal, it means it changes from time to time. So this is because in the intensity of sunlight reaching the surface and the number of hours of daylight. The variation in intensity results because the angle at which the sun rays hit the earth changes with time of the year. I want you to look at this one. Here in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, they changes as the earth revolves around the sun. Okay, so in southern, winter, summer, the other side, autumn and spring during this time, and also the month of the year. So that is seasonal. Okay? And for lesson number 2, we are going to discuss about the direct and indirect rays and sunlight. It can be, maybe you can already perceive what is this all about, but we are going to dig it in. Okay? We will discuss this piece by piece. Let us talk about first the direct versus indirect rays. Similarly, the sun's energy spreads out over differing geographic areas. Okay, so iba yung ating natatanggap na sun energy or solar energy here in the Philippines when you go to other part of the country. For example, you go to Greenwich. Okay, dahil medyo northern part na sila, wala na silang masyadong nakukuhang sun's energy. And so, even their climate is colder than us. And at the same time, it is more concentrated during our summer. So you can observe that during our summer months, right? During our summer vacation, it's very hot. And it's like we are near the sun. Okay, so when the sun is higher in the sky, yung sinasabi ng mga parents natin o kahit kayo, na tirik yung araw, it's because we are located near the what? Equator. And if you are near the equator, we get direct solar energy or we get direct sun rays. Okay? So let us look at this diagram. So the combination of the indirect rays from the sun that strike Earth at lower angles and less hours of daylight in the hemisphere of Earth angled away from the sun have cooler temperatures. So during June, you will see the sunlight or the sun rays like this angle. So only a smaller area. Okay? On the other hand, during December sun rays, you can see that the sunlight rays is at what? This angle, slightly slanting. Okay? Unlike at the June sun rays. So it what? It is, yes, it covers a larger area than June sun rays. That's why here, during December, we experience colder weather. Okay? And we have cooler temperature because the sun rays is already away from the Earth. Unlike during the sun rays in June, basically, we are directly facing, okay, from the sun. So that's how they differ from one to another. And another thing that we need to consider is the direct and indirect sunlight. So this one, we are going to tackle about the spinning of Earth. Okay, this spinning of Earth like a top, para siyang turumpo. It explains our daily cycle of night and day. So that's because we have night and day because it also rotates. When we are talking about rotation, it is the motion of the Earth rotating in its own axis. That's imaginary, okay? And then, when we are talking about revolution, as the Earth's rotation, okay, speeds up, or we can say, as the Earth rotating, it also revolves around the sun. You get it? So the tilt of the Earth's axis also defines the length of daylight. So the daylight hours are shortest in each hemisphere's winter. Lalo na pag malalamig na lugar, mas mabilis gumabi. Mas mabilis magdilim. Okay? So between summer and winter solstice, the number of daylight hours decreases. And the rate of decrease is larger the higher the latitude. So, mas tumataas ang latitude, papunta ka ng Arctic Circle or papunta ka dun sa Antarctic Circle, you are experiencing shorter daylight. That is why May ibang lugar, class, sa mga Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere, sometimes 6 months, gabi sila lahat. Sometimes 6 months naman, umaga lang sila lahat. Okay? So they experience that. And the fewer sunlight hours, the colder the nights. Malamang, kaya nga, in other part of the country, you will not be able to see a man or a woman walking in a tank top or yung sando na tinatawag natin. Kasi basically, they wear larger clothes. Like I have a friend in Russia and I guess they are wearing like 5 to 6 jackets. They wear 5 to 6 jackets just to go outside because of the snow. But here in the Philippines, you can go outside whether you are wearing just a tank top or wearing just a t-shirt and shorts. Okay? But when winter in Russia, you cannot go outside with that kind of uh, t-shirt or tank top and shorts. Okay, that's a no-no. So let us look at these two diagrams here. So direct sunlight is like this one. It is related to the direct rays, as you can see. So when the light from the sun hits the earth in a straight line, basically it has hotter temperature, and this is the summer months. Okay, so as you can see, although we do not have snowman here, but this is just a representation. Or imagine you have ice cream. During summer days, when you go outside or when you eat ice cream at the beach, it will melt easily because the sunlight is directly hitting our country. Okay, so that's the direct sunlight. And on the other hand, indirect sunlight is when the light from the sun hits the earth at an angle, meaning to say it has cooler temperature and it is winter. But in our case, this is the rainy season. Okay, so when you go to other part of the country, they will experience this one. Since the sunlight is with an angle over here and it's not directly hitting that country, so they will experience colder temperature or colder weather. Okay, do not forget that. So always remember what happens when daytime is longer than nighttime. Let us think for a bit. Okay, so the time of heating up during the day will be longer than the time of cooling down at night. So the northern hemisphere steadily warms up and the result is summer. At the same time, in the southern hemisphere, the opposite is happening. Since nights are shorter than daytime, it is winter there. Okay, what happens at the northern hemisphere is the exact opposite that is happening in the southern hemisphere. Okay, so if you are, for example, living in the northern hemisphere, okay, you will experience in that part or in that case during summer months. Okay, so when you go to the southern hemisphere, you will experience winter months. So when you are in the northern hemisphere and you feel that you have summer months, but when you go to the southern hemisphere, you will experience the exact opposite, the winter months. And that's the reason, and that's what will happen when daytime is longer than nighttime. So that's the end of our week number 4. Do not forget to answer the following questions, okay? Rewatch this video and do not forget to answer all the questions in your Google Classroom. Answer only, okay? So for lesson number 1, pages 4, the pre-test, and pages 5 to 6. For lesson number 2, answer pages 8, and then 9 to 10 for the post-test. So if you have any questions or clarifications regarding this topic, do not be hesitant to contact me to my different social media accounts. You can reach me to my YouTube, my Instagram if your messenger is not working, and you can also contact me in my Facebook page. Basically, you can reach me, okay? But my number is not available yet. And that's the end of our quarter four, week number 4. I hope you learned something today. Let us all meet next week for our lesson number 5 or for week number 5. Goodbye. God bless you and have a nice day, everyone.